Welcome to Human Factors Engineering again. This is one of your courses in sixth semester. So for many years, actually, I have had this title slide and it depicts many things as well. This sketch of the human musculoskeletal system. But we will sometime discuss what it is showing. So our module 0 is related to introduction and review of prerequisites, especially prerequisites for module 1, that is the physical ergonomics. So we discussed the lesson plan in the segment 1. Here we will discuss some basics, some introduction to human factors engineering, and human factors engineering is also called ergonomics. So learning objectives of this lecture include to understand what is ergonomics or human factors engineering. So I repeat, both mean the same thing. Ergonomics and human factors engineering mean the same thing, but I personally like the word ergonomics more, of course, for no obvious reasons, but that is slightly more maybe fancy to speak or whatever, more precise actually. Another learning objective is to understand the focus and role of ergonomics, basic pillars of ergonomics, and very important is to understand interdisciplinary nature of this course of ergonomics. And finally, differentiate between two terms, fitting the man to the job and fitting the job to the man. So these are the references I consulted to make the slides of this lecture. And this is something we have already seen, that we have 3 modules: body-centered ergonomics, environmental ergonomics, and cognitive ergonomics. But before starting module 1, we will discuss some very basics that we are just going to start today. And then we will move to first physical ergonomics, that is most detailed. And then we will move to environmental and finally to cognitive ergonomics. That is the flow of the course. So this division of human factors into physical and cognitive is not discrete. Now you can see that, for example, on one extreme there are purely physical activities. On the right extreme, for example, there are purely cognitive activities, and there is a continuum between these two. And we can see that most of the activities actually involve both aspects, physical and cognitive as well. For example, if some activity falls somewhere over here, so it is of course more physical than it is cognitive, and some activity that, for example, falls here is more cognitive than it is physical. But there is rarely any activity or task performed by human that is either purely physical or purely cognitive. So for example, you are just attending this lecture. So this is of course a more cognitive activity. Maybe it may be falling somewhere over here. But of course, it does involve the physical aspects as well. You have to sit in a chair, for example, so your body has to be in a comfortable posture as well in order to be more attentive to attend the lecture. So there is, of course, and you have to write, of course, that is also a physical activity. So all tasks are by nature having combination of physical requirements as well as cognitive. But some tasks are more physical and some are more cognitive. And some tasks somewhere over here, for example, right in the middle might be having equal aspects, both physical and cognitive. So you must keep in mind that this classification is not discrete. So physical requirements for the task could be, for example, muscular strength, the proper healthiness of your musculoskeletal system, physical conditioning, and the requirements for cognitive or mental tasks could be intelligence, concentration, knowledge, memory, and other aspects that we will see in detail. So the point here is that you must keep in mind that almost all tasks involves both things, physical and cognitive aspects. So we saw one way to classify ergonomics as physical, cognitive, and the third was environmental ergonomics. That is slightly arbitrary, but in order to classify the course, that is quite useful. Another way to understand ergonomics from the point of view of this course that I'm teaching you is to visualize it as two parts. For almost all topics that we will discuss, we will first discuss the theoretical foundations for that topic. So this uh, division of the course into two parts is very important to understand from the point of view of this course. So first we will discuss theoretical foundations, and then for that topic we will discuss ergonomic assessment tools. So that will be almost the flow for most of the topics that we will discuss starting from module 1, ergonomic assessment tools. So for most of the topics, we will do this. This will be the flow. We will discuss theoretical foundations and then ergonomic assessment tools. For example, one of the very important topics that we will discuss is work posture. So once discussing the work posture, we will discuss the very basics of the work posture. That is, for example, what are the muscles involved in a standing postures and in a seated posture? What are the guidelines for a good standing posture and a good seated posture? What are the guidelines for example, classroom furniture for appropriate posture to be maintained? What are the guidelines for office furniture and so on? And once we have laid this foundation, we will discuss a number of ergonomic assessment tools that in a certain condition, whether the posture is appropriate or not. And if it is not appropriate, we can of course improve it or redesign the task. So you might have seen another things, or you might have observed it, that we will focus on both things in this course: evaluation of the tasks as well as design of the tasks as well. So overall, as a whole, off and on, we will be focusing on both things: evaluating the existing tasks or workplaces or tools and equipment, as well as designing the new workplaces or tools and equipment. Another example is related to the third module that we will discuss. So there again, we will first lay the theoretical foundation. For example, we will discuss different human information processing related concepts. So how, for example, human brain works, what are the types of memory, how those types of memory impact our performance and other things. And then we will use this knowledge to design displays and user experience design. And then of course, we will discuss some tools to assess the mental workload, how we can actually design the task properly, and how can then we actually analyze the task, either the new task that we have designed or existing tasks. So again, there we will be laying the theoretical foundation by understanding the basics of human information processing and then different ergonomic assessment tools. So you must keep this in mind, and we will discuss a number of ergonomic assessment tools. So this is a good takeaway of this course, that you will be inshallah equipped with a number of assessment tools that you can use to evaluate and design the workplace. So we will discuss a number of tools inshallah from the handbook of human factors and ergonomic methods that I just discussed in the first segment. So I have already told you that these three words, without going into the details of this slide: human factors engineering, ergonomics, and thirdly, the title of our textbook, that is human factors and ergonomics. All these three mean the same thing. So you can use them interchangeably. I will, for the most part, use the word ergonomics more, but you can use both, in fact, all three of these interchangeably. So, Human Factors Society, that was once the name of the society of the experts and professionals of this field, also renamed it to Human Factors and Ergonomics Society. So, again, all three terms mean the same thing. There are many useful resources available. I will share with you some of those during the lab sessions. Two are mentioned here. One is International Ergonomics Association, and the other is Human Factors in Ergonomics Society. So you can explore these for the latest updates related to this field. So what are the literal meanings of ergonomics? So ergo means work and nomos means laws. So ergonomics is the laws of work that define the limits to human capabilities. So we use some laws, some principles uh, based on the knowledge about humans to design the work and tasks that those humans perform. So that is the literal meaning, but we will see some definitions of human factors and ergonomics. And I would highly recommend you to pay attention to these definitions. I will also be explaining those definitions. And at the end, I will ask you to write your definitions. What do you understand based on definitions what human factors and ergonomics is? So that definition doesn't need to be perfect, but write it in your own words. But at the end of the many definitions that I will discuss with you. So be more attentive from here onward. So first definition is by Morrell. He defined ergonomics or human factors in 1965 as the scientific study of the relationship between man and its working environment. Now, this word environment has some broader meaning according to Morrell. So in this sense, the term environment is taken to cover not only the ambient environment. So environment means two things. One is the ambient environment, that is, for example, working conditions with respect to ambient, like temperature, for example, or humidity, or the lighting, or noise, and things like that. So that is the ambient environment in which he may work, but also his tools and materials. So tools, materials, and methods are also part of the environment, as well as organization of the work, either as an individual or within a working group. All these are related to the nature of man himself, to his abilities, capacities, and limitations. This is a very precise definition. That this is the study, ergonomics is the study of the relationship between man, the human, and the working environment. Environment could be ambient environment as well as everything the worker interacts with. So there could be tools, materials, methods, organization of the work, and what is the impact of these things also depends upon the nature of the person, his abilities, capacities, and limitations. We will see this in more detail in the last module, that two persons can have a different effect or impact of the same stimulus from the environment. But of course, we have to design for the general user for the most part. So you have to notice these two important points here, that environment could be not only the ambient environment, but other things the humans interact with. And the nature of relationship not only depends upon the environment, but also the nature of the user himself. Another definition by Grangian is mentioned here, that ergonomics is a study of man's behavior in relations. Again, the word relation or relationship can be observed off and on. So here again, the word relation is there. The object of this research is man at work in relation to his spatial environments. So this word is from the word space, spatial environment. The most important principle of ergonomics is fitting the task to the man. So that is the motto of the ergonomics, fitting the task to the man or fitting the job to the man. So that is the ultimate goal of this course, of this field. Ergonomics is interdisciplinary. This is very important as well. So it bases its theories on physiology, psychology, anthropometry, and various aspects of engineering. So you can see different fields are there. So physiology, actually the basis of our first module. Psychology is there in the third module, cognitive ergonomics. Anthropometry is also very important for physical ergonomics, and various aspects of engineering are also involved. So this is, and these are two important things to notice from this definition, is that the ergonomics is the study of the relation of human to his work, and the motto is fitting the job to the man. Job design should be such that it is appropriate for the one who performs it. And ergonomics involves different disciplines like physiology, psychology, anthropometry, and of course, engineering. I would recommend you to read the third definition yourself, and if you can observe something important, write it down. Another definition by the Work Measurement and Methods Standards Subcommittee of NC is that ergonomics is the application of a body of knowledge, life science, physical science, and engineering. So again, it is emphasizing that you need diverse knowledge, not only engineering, but also from life and physical sciences. And this discipline deals with the interaction, again the word interaction, relationship between man and the total working environment. So again, here the word environment has a broader meaning. So it involves atmosphere like heat, light, sound, as well as tools, equipment, and workplace. So very similar to the first definition, that it is the study of the relationship between man and the environment. Environment could be ambient environment like atmosphere, heat, light, and sound, but as well as tools, equipment, and the workplace where that person is working. Definition with Sanders and McCormick is that ergonomics discovers and applies information about human behavior, abilities, limitations, and other characteristics. So that is the prerequisite knowledge that is required. And why this knowledge is required? To design the tools, machines, tasks, job, and environment. So word environment is again there. So that is actually the use of that knowledge to design these things. And what is the goal? What is the thing that you want to ultimately achieve is productivity, safety, comfort, and effective use. So again, we need the knowledge about humans to design these things, tools, machines, tasks, jobs, and environment. And the design itself is not the goal, but design should be helping us to achieve high productivity, safety, comfort, and easy use by the humans. Definition by Japanese is that ergonomics is a multidisciplinary field. It involves multiple disciplines. Again, which discipline? Psychology. And psychology has further types. So here we need more experimental psychology, anthropometry, applied physiology, environmental medicine, engineering, statistics, operational research is sometimes required, industrial design, all contributed. But more importantly, we require psychology, anthropometry, physiology, engineering, and statistics. So this is also emphasizing the disciplines that are involved in ergonomic studies. So again, I would recommend you to read the definition mentioned below yourself, and if you find something important, note it down. Definition by Wickens et al. Is that ergonomics intersects with certain disciplines with psychology and engineering. For instance, experimental psychology, social psychology, your industrial engineering, and bioengineering. and that a number of disciplines have overlapped with some aspects of human factors, namely cognitive science, artificial intelligence, industrial design, management, and statistics. Of course, you don't need to really understand the definition of all these fields right now, but you can get an idea that at least you are seeing psychology and not mentioned here actually is physiology, and of course knowledge of engineering and statistics, almost every definition that emphasizes the multiple disciplines that are involved in ergonomic studies. The last definition by International Ergonomics Association is that ergonomics or human factors is the scientific discipline concerned with understanding of interactions among humans and other elements of a system, and the profession that applies theory, principle, data, and methods to design in order to optimize human well-being and overall system performance. So again, interaction of humans with other elements of the system. And it uses theory, principle, data, and method to design in order to optimize. Again, the goal is to optimize human well-being as well as the performance of the system. Ergonomists, they are the professionals of ergonomics, contribute to the design and evaluation. As I told you that we will focus on both things in this course, design as well as evaluation of the tasks, jobs, products, environments, and systems in order to make them compatible with the needs, abilities, and limitations of the people. So these were the few definitions that we discussed. I'll give you a few minutes to think and try to write down your own definition. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect, but try to incorporate all aspects that were mentioned in these definitions as well. So we will take a pause and then we will discuss your definition.